The Tar Heels finally got their first win on Saturday. They beat the Pittsburgh Panthers 38-35 at home. It was a great and exciting win. Putting up 38 points is something that the Tar Heel faithful haven't seen in a while. So, what does the win on Saturday mean for the Tar Heel football program going forward?
Well, what we saw, it was definitely encouraging to see the offense put up nearly 500 yards of offense. Antonio Williams had a great day. Rushing had 114 yards rushing. Nathan Elliott actually threw for 313 yards on completing 22 out of his 31 passes with an 81.8 QBR and 2 touchdowns. I think this was very encouraging for our offense. This was kind of a disappointing game for our defense, on the other hand, allowing 5 touchdowns. And if we're playing better teams than Pittsburgh, that's not going to hold up. But again, definitely encouraging to see us finally get a win versus a team that's at least respectable.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely nice to see a win. If you lose the game, you can pretty much just say the season's over because then you go to Miami and you're going to be 0-4. And the momentum of losing your home opener against not a great team at Pittsburgh and home, it's that would look bad. But they got the win, and I don't think UNC is all of a sudden a great football team. I will say I loved how their skilled positions play with Michael Carter, Ratliff Williams. I mean, Nathaniel Elliott wasn't pushing the ball down the field. He was getting it in these guys' hands, at the line of scrimmage or there was a few plays down the seam where for Nathaniel Elliott's 2 touchdowns, they're wide
Is his
open.
name Nathaniel?
Or Nate Elliott. I don't know why.
Pretty sure it's Nathan.
Nate Elliott.
Nathan.
But there's those 2 touchdown passes wide open, but the main thing was they're getting the ball up quick and getting in the hands of their playmakers, and the playmakers, they made a lot of plays, and the run game was impactful, so I think Elliott had more time to throw the football, and that's what...
You also saw Michael Carter add just another dimension to that offense.
Yeah, I mean...
Antonio Williams isn't really a pass-catching back. I mean, he only had 1 reception for 3 yards, whereas Michael Carter caught 4 passes for 36 yards, and especially one was that really nice score towards the end of the game that helped us seal that win. I definitely think that Michael Carter coming back definitely helps this team out a lot.
Yeah, and I think the skill positions were the positive, but unfortunately, I still feel like it was sort of a fluky game. Pittsburgh isn't a great opponent. UNC still gave up 35 points, and it was at home. It was their home opener. 4 weeks into the season, so because you missed the game against UCF, so there's a lot of excitement. There's a lot of desperation. It's a weaker opponent, and it's the first ACC game. The kicker also recovered a fumble, so it was just sort of a weird day. And they got the exciting win, but I think going forward, there's still a lot to be worried about with the team. I think, you saw, I'll say this too. One more positive before I move on to the negatives. I think the defense played pretty well. They were in position a lot on defense, and Pittsburgh was making great throws and great catches.
They definitely pressured the quarterback a lot better than what we saw versus ECU. I think we had 3 sacks. I mean, it's not anything that's outstanding, but it's definitely an improvement.
Yeah, but just to go back, there's a lot of balls that were, UNC was in good position. So on defense, if they could just make a play on the ball, that could really turn around games, and they're going to need to do that against great teams. Where a ball just flies over the face mask and is completion. Well, if the cornerback turns around just a little bit quicker, can get a tip it up in the air, maybe his teammate will pick it off, that will change games. But right now, we didn't see that from UNC. We also saw them struggle on a little bit of misdirection plays with Pittsburgh. And, I'm still worried about Nate Elliott because the only throws he was making was the 2 touchdowns down the seam was wide open, but every other throw was, maybe he was throwing the ball 5 yards down the field. A lot of them were 4 yards behind the line of scrimmage or at the line of scrimmage. So I think against really good teams that have quick defenses, you're going to see that. You're going to see those defenses get to the ball immediately and make tackles, whereas against a worse defense in Pittsburgh, there's a little bit less communication. They're not as quick flowing to the football, and that's what UNC took advantage of, and it was exciting to see that against Pittsburgh. But, moving forward, they're still going to have to be a lot better if they want to compete with Miami on the road. So,